Once in a while we get comments like, using song-specific patches is cheating, or I don't want to be a DJ or a robot on stage, I want to actually play my instrument, or even, why are you guys so obsessed with exactly recreating all of the sounds from the original song? Just do your own thing. So, is using song-specific patches cheating? Is it wrong? Or is there a right way to do it? Let's talk about it. Now, obviously we like song-specific patches. We've produced tons of them. They are very, very popular at sundaysounds.com, and we now have support for song-specific patches inside of the standalone Sunday Keys app. And we know that this is popular with you guys too, because this has been one of the most requested features since we released the app over a year ago. So we are big fans. A lot of you folks watching probably are too. But sometimes, in my opinion, you shouldn't use a song patch. It might not be the right call for your band. Do I think it's cheating? I don't think so at all. And I'll explain why in this video, but I also want to actually be honest about some of the drawbacks to the song-specific patch approach. So let's just start by getting the objections out on the table. There's 3 objections we've noticed we get most often. The first is they're not flexible enough. The second is that I don't want to feel like a DJ or a robot. I want to actually play my instrument. And the third is usually sort of a generic, it doesn't feel right. It feels like cheating sort of objection. On the other side, the top 3 reasons people tell us they love song-specific patches are they save them tons of time in programming because they can just find the song patch that they're looking for, purchase it, and immediately be ready to play. People really like that song patches can help fill out a smaller band. Maybe your band doesn't have tons of players, but if you use a song-specific patch, you can fill lots of sonic space and really glue together the sound of your band. And lastly, people tell us they enjoy that they actually feel in control of what they're contributing to the song, based on the parts they play and the song section they have selected within the song patch. So what is a song patch? From Sunday Sounds, it's a guaranteed result that makes you sound like the original while keeping you fully in control of what you play and how you contribute to the sound of your band. A song patch from Sunday Sounds is more than just replicating the sounds. We put tons of effort and experience into the way that the sounds are arranged on the keyboard and program all of the MIDI behind the scenes so that you can focus on your live performance. We give you tons of flexibility and control, with the right hand always free to focus on the most important piano or lead synth parts in the song, and your left hand adding extra texture, interest, chords, arps, and sequences based on the bass notes that you press. Our song patches also make it easy to move through the different moments or dynamic levels of the song. In the Sunday Keys app, you can seamlessly transition between these different sections of the song using snapshots. And in the app, you also have full flexibility over the key that you play and hear the song in, the tempo of the song, and you can even rearrange the order of the snapshots, adjust the volume levels of any sound, you can swap out sounds at will, and you can even add to the notes that are displayed when you select a specific snapshot to help you remember to break on the 4 or to double a specific guitar part in your right hand. We think song patches in the Sunday Keys app is simple, flexible, and inspiring. So you might be thinking, couldn't I just do all of this programming myself? The short answer is yes, you could if you were willing to take the time to do it. But the real world answer, based on our experience at Sunday Sounds, is that it takes hours or even days to program a single song specific patch to be playable, to sound like the original song, and to feel good to use live. If you're a worship leader or volunteer and your band's playing, 3 to 5 songs average every weekend, it's gonna be a big commitment of time to program your own patches at this level of detail from scratch. So the alternative to programming at that level of detail is to simplify things down and focus on the core parts, the most important parts of the song when you make your own patches. And this can be one of the times where it makes sense not to use a song-specific patch. When you're making your own patches from scratch, you're entirely in control of the outcome. If you like a specific kind of sound, you can make sure that it's in the song. You can leave space for the band members that are in your team and their strengths. You might know that you have 2 really competent electric guitarists who are going to fill all of that top end, so you might leave a little bit more space for them. Building your own patches also saves you money. And if you've got the right volunteers, you can empower them to explore and tap into their creative side as they design patches of their own. Just make sure that you have guardrails in place so the people on your team that are investing time in making their own patches from scratch have time to sound check them at the beginning of rehearsal, and that they understand the overall sound you're going for with your band. Nothing worse than a dedicated volunteer spending hours and hours designing a complex patch from scratch and then not finding out until rehearsal that you're actually doing a different arrangement, and you ask them to strip all of that hard work out and just play a piano and pad. So you have to be prepared to do a lot of communication and put effort into the time it takes to program these patches for yourself. Now, when you're programming your own patches, the Sunday Keys app provides the easiest way to browse and find the hero sounds that you need to cover the core parts of popular worship songs, whether that's pianos, pads, leads, bass, dulcimer, arp, bells. If you know the idea or the name of the kind of sound that you're looking for, you're going to be able to find it in Sunday Keys, and it is pretty quick and easy to layer across the keyboard and set up your snapshots. What ends up taking more time is the more complex textural stuff that happens in the background, those extra bits of production and polish that really glues everything together. So some folks just start with covering the core parts. I'm going to cover the top line piano, I'm going to add in a synth bass, and maybe I'm gonna layer a couple of pads together. Depending on your band, that might be all you need. And if that's the case, it's good to stay in that sweet spot if you know it makes sense for you. When you do know that it's important to you to cover all of the keys parts from the song and fill out the sound of your band, and you don't have the time to figure out how to do all that programming yourself, to me, that's when it makes sense to consider using a song patch. Let's talk a little bit more about flexibility. The concern is that if you have a song-specific patch that's already been programmed, you're giving up lots of flexibility to be able to improvise in the moment, to be able to move dynamically through the song. Instead, you're locked in to the map. But that's just not the case, especially when it comes to using song patches in the Sunday Keys app. Let me show you what I mean. We're gonna play a bit of The Blessing in the key of B, and we'll use this song as an example. So we've got all of the sounds right here, and you can see that as I move through snapshots, these layers are adjusting. So as we build, different layers are coming in and out. Now this has been pre-programmed, and that's part of what makes song patches so great, because then you can just play. So starting small, and then by the end, we're all in, it's huge. So we use snapshots to move linearly through the song, but you might have just noticed that I didn't do that at all. I actually jumped from the intro snapshot straight into the big all-in snapshot. And you may have also noticed that it was seamless. So here we're all down, we've just got piano and pad, it's very subtle. And then we can go straight into this big chorus. We can fade to piano and pad. And everything stays super smooth. The app is really what makes this possible. Each snapshot has its own unique transition time, and that determines how quickly the changes that are programmed to that snapshot take effect. And because of the way that these are programmed, you don't have to just move from left to right. You can jump around however you'd like. In fact, we can even rearrange the order of these snapshots if our band's going to start things off differently. Let's say that, for example, we're going to start this song with the big bridge. So I can long press, choose rearrange, and then drag this guy to the first position. Now, the next time I select this patch, we're going to start with the all-in snapshot. And then we can fade down to the next one. Or maybe I need this transition to be a little bit longer. So again, I can long press, choose customize, and instead of a 1-bar snapshot transition length, I could choose whatever I'd like. Let's make this really slow. We'll do a 4-bar transition. So here we are at the big bridge. We'll start to fade it out. But it's very subtle. All seamless, there's no audio glitches. But we're just slowly ramping down. Without the app, this would have to be complex automation being fed from something like Ableton Live. But we're able to avoid writing automation entirely and just use these custom transition times to accomplish it. And we also have flexibility around tempo and around the key that we perform the song in. So we could tap here and use tap tempo if we knew we wanted to play it faster or slower. Or if we wanted to, we could make sure that this patch recalls a different tempo the next time it's selected. Let's say that we want to do this at 72. I'm gonna hit patch lock. The next time I choose this patch, we'll be ready to go at 72. If I need to update it again, let's turn off patch lock, go to 73, patch lock again, and it's as simple as that. In the same way, we can choose a different key. Let's say that the whole band's gonna do this in the key of A instead. So I could choose A for play in and A for hear in if I wanted to play the song in A and actually hear it in A as well. That sounds like this. Or let's say that I learned the song in B and at the last minute, the worship leader asked for it to come a step down, but my chord chart is still in B. So I could set play in to B, but leave hear in at A. Now I'm able to play it in B and still match the rest of the band when they're playing in A. Let's talk about the musicality of using song patches. This is related to people saying it feels more like being a DJ, or they don't want to be a robot who just has to trigger the right notes at the right time. At Sunday Sounds, when we program our song patches, we're really careful to make sure that we don't program away that connection to the instrument that's really important to every keys and piano player. That means that we're always leaving the right hand free to actually play the most important parts of the song. So often pianos, lead synths, maybe lead string sounds, those sorts of things that actually deserve to be and need to be sort of felt and expressed in the moment. So for this example, I've got Goodness of God, and the right hand is able to play this piano sound. And then the left hand, when I just play these bass notes that correspond to what my right hand is doing, are adding extra texture underneath that I just wouldn't be able to achieve otherwise. Because if I tried to play all of those things at the same time using my left and right hands, something would have to give. There would have to be some compromise made. But with song-specific patches, you don't have to make those kinds of compromises. You can have playability and expressiveness with the core instruments, and then have this extra power, this extra production value and polish come in underneath. So in Goodness of God, my right hand and left hand together start off the song very simply, like this. When I trigger the second snapshot, a bit more starts to fill space. An organ comes in underneath, voicing really nice, simple chords. And we can build to the bridge. And my right hand is able to play those piano parts without muddying up what the pads and background textures are doing, because they're actually separated from each other on the keyboard. This is one of the most powerful things that song patches do that a regular patch just doesn't bring to the table, that separation between your background textures and your foreground hero instruments. So the left hand alone sounds like this. And it's very subtle, it's super smooth, those chord voicings are very complementary, but they don't get in the way of, nor do they have to follow, the way that your right hand is able to play that piano freely. So when it comes to musicality, our song patches are programmed to enhance the parts you would already be playing anyway. So the same bass notes, we make space for the same piano or lead synth parts in the right hand, and then this extra bit of polish and magic just comes up underneath to support and enhance how you would be playing the song in the first place. If anything, we think song patches can actually enhance musicality when you use them with intention. The last objection to address is that it feels like cheating. And I think this really comes down to people thinking perhaps that a real musician wouldn't need these sorts of tricks, these MIDI sequences, all of this extra easy chord programming and all of those things. And to people saying that, I would just ask, why aren't you just playing a piano then? Why do you have a synthesizer or a keyboard? Why do you need to layer sounds together in the first place? To me, this argument really just ends up being a circle. We're talking about tools here, and what determines whether these tools are useful and edifying for your church is how your church chooses to use them or not use them. We think song-specific patches are powerful, and we've seen churches use them and find them very satisfying. Their bands love them, they find them fun to play, and we think they provide a ton of value for their price. To be able to save hours and hours of programming, to have incredible sounds at your fingertips, and to empower you or your volunteers with the ability to focus on the core parts and have this extra programming come up and support and glue together the sound of your band, we think there's just nothing else available like it. And you should try it if you've never tried it before. We are excited that song patches are now available in the Sunday Keys app, and we're going to be adding to our catalog of songs that are available in the app format regularly over the coming months. If you'd like to see which songs are currently available in-app, we'll put a link in the description where you can learn all about it. All the sounds you've heard in today's video were captured straight out of the app. You can see this red dot here. We're just screen recording the direct output of my iPad in real time. No post-production or anything like that. These song patches really do sound great. And yes, it's coming from just an iPad. Thanks for watching this video. We hope that you'll go try a song patch now available inside of the Sunday Keys app.